G'day viewers, this is Troy from Troy's Visual Arts channel. Sometime last year I picked up from my local Dapto Markets a vintage Canon Auto Zoom 518 Super 8 film camera. Yeah, this is in pretty nice condition, this camera. I can't remember how much I bought these for. I think it's probably about $20 or something, but yeah, I got this camera with its original manual in its original case, and on top of here we've got an unopened old pack of Super 8 film, which has an expiry date of 1979. Anyway, yeah, in recent times I've developed a much more interest in the art of making Super 8 films, and I intend on making a Super 8 film with this camera and this expired roll of film. But anyway, yeah, I've been doing a bit of research on Super 8 cameras and working out how to get this camera going. Yeah, firstly, I needed the appropriate batteries for it. This takes four AA batteries, and it takes 2 button cell batteries. Anyway, first things first. For the electronic eye portion of the camera, which you got inside the viewfinder, you got this you got a needle that sort of runs across the aperture sizes inside. That's controlled by the button cell batteries, plus the auto aperture setting as well. Seeing I'm a beginner with this camera, I thought I'd just set it on auto, so that way I get auto aperture when I'm doing some outdoor filming. Anyway, first things first, I'm going to put the button cell batteries in. Now, according to the manual, these cameras initially used mercury button cell batteries, 625 type batteries. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a hold of any 625 type batteries at my local Woolies, so I had to improvise a bit. I sort of took a guess that these batteries might fit, but they don't. So what I've done was stick a few rolls of cardboard paper in. I pretty much just cut up one of my bus passes that from a local bus company, and I just roll them around till these batteries can fit in nice and snug. So there's the paper there. Now the batteries, of course, they will fit in nice and snug. I'll stick them in. And for the battery to make contact with this clip, I just simply got myself a strip of metal and just folded it in half, and that works quite nicely. It's a bit tricky to do it one-handedly, so just bear with me for a minute. So yeah, basically just got to slip that underneath, and I'm going to secure it in like so. So those batteries are now making contact. And underneath you've got a battery meter for the button cell batteries, which is the white one, and the AA batteries, which is the red one. And the meter, with the meters reading in the blue range, I'll focus the meter up. Yeah, the batteries are good. Now, pressing this button, which I now do, yep, the button cell batteries are reading, so it's working. Now, saying I've got an auto zoom, to demonstrate that the batteries are working, the needle you'll see a needle on the display automatically adjusting to the different light levels. So at the moment, seeing where the camera's pointed to bright light, it's on aperture size of 16, which the aperture is at its most closed point, and when it's at 1.8, it's at its most open point. Well, actually, yeah, this actually does have up to f22 aperture setting, which is actually the red corner there on the right, and the lowest f setting at the left, which is the left aperture. I don't know what aperture that is, but it'd be something that's probably less than 1. Anyway, just trying to get the camera pointed to the in the viewfinder. As you can see, the aperture is moving according to the different light levels, so that means the electronic eye portion is indeed working. Which is good. So that way I don't overexpose or underexpose the film. Anyway, next part is to insert the batteries, the double A's in. Firstly, I'll just put the battery cap on. So first things first, I'll slip a battery in the bottom there. You need you use a coin to open it pretty much, but I'm going to use my screwdriver. Knock the batteries off. So yeah, insert the battery into here, the positive facing into the inside part, and screw that on. I'll just have to try and... It's a bit difficult doing it single-handedly. I've got it on. Now, the rest of the batteries go into the top compartment here next to the viewfinder. So you just unscrew that. I'll try and focus it in for you. A bit difficult to focus, but anyway, unscrew that screw there, and you release the top compartment where the rest of the free batteries go to. So we'll slide them in progressively one after the other. I think just clip them in like that and move them forward. I'll move that back and then stick this one into the centre. Yeah, it's a bit difficult when... yep, she's in. So they're now in. So now screw this compartment back up. Yeah, doing it single-handedly is really difficult. So camera in one hand and trying to screw it up with the other hand. It's really a two-hand job, obviously. Anyhow, the camera's now got full power for its electronic eye and for its film rotation function, to rotate, for the motor to rotate the film inside the camera so you record the film. Anyway, the next thing is obviously you put the film in. You set the aperture to open. The R represents open. So yeah, you slip the film in. I'm not going to do it in this video because I don't really want to open this film yet until I'm ready to use it. But anyway, you stick the film in and you follow the instructions, of course, in slipping the film in according to the manual. I'll go to the page where it tells you how to put the film in. So yeah, you as seen in that diagram there, you insert the film cartridge as seen, and you close the cartridge and you set the aperture to R, or the lock dial is actually called, lock dial to R, then set the aperture control ring on the other side to automatic. Unless of course you want to manually adjust the exposure levels, which you can do as well. Anyway, there's the aperture adjustment ring, so that's set to auto. You can set to manual, as mentioned, if you want to manually adjust the exposure, if you want to over or underexpose your picture for whatever reason, whatever effect you want, that's there too. But generally you set to auto, particularly for beginners like me. Like I just rather set to auto for my filmings just to begin with. But anyway, So hypothetically, we'll just imagine the film is in there, and you're pretty much ready to roll. Of course, over here you've got the indicator to indicate how much film you've got to use. Say you use 30 your roll, you'll have about probably about somewhere between 35 and 40 feet left to use. Anyway, that needle there will indicate how much roll of film you've got left. Anyway, oh yeah, now I've got the double A's in. Now let's check the meter to see if I've got a readout. Yep, the double A's read good. They're in the blue range. Anyhow, now pretending we've got film in here, we're pretty much ready to roll. So, oh yeah, you also got the film speed setting for what speed you want to set at. You pretty much, from what I can see, you only got two options, like 18 frames a second is standard Super 8 speed, and you've got slow motion speed, which I believe is for making stop motion films, like, you know, claymations and that sort of thing. But anyway, get this camera to focus. There we go. Anyway, so we now got the electronic eye operational, and we've got the batteries in there to record the film, so to get the film motor operational. So now all we have to do is, you know, point to your subject, set the zoom distance and the focus, and then you just point and pull the trigger. Hold on, I'll get into a better lighting. Just pull the trigger like so, and you hear that noise. That means that the film winder is winding the film. Oh yes, and this that little hole there is an indicator to indicate that the film is winding. So yeah, you're hypothetically having a film can in there. You are now recording the film. And if we open this up without the film, as you can see, when I press the trigger, the film motor is winding, and the film is getting it. I'll try and, before I say anything, I'll try and get this camera to zoom, to focus on what I'm going to talk about next. That's where the film gets exposed to the incoming light. That little hole there, that looks to be, yeah, about 8 millimeters, and yeah, that's where the film gets exposed. Anyhow, this camera is pretty much, to my opinion, ready to roll for filming. Oh yes, going on to another thing, you've also got your light setting. Now, let's get this camera to focus once again. Now, by the looks of things, it's set to indoor lighting, which is that red light bulb there. It's a bit dark to see, but anyways, that's the red light bulb. You push this switch in and pull it down, you've got it set to outdoor lighting, which is that sun symbol there, which is, of course, is ideal for filming outdoors. Anyway, another feature too of this camera is the zoom in, zoom out feature. I'm not sure if these work or not, but yep, it actually, well, it appears to be operational. However, actually no, it is operational. I initially thought it wasn't, but anyway, yeah, it's got push button zooming in and zooming out, which is a cool, handy feature. But of course, if you want to zoom in, zoom out fast, you do it manually by rotating it manually. Normally, I just rotate it manually anyways. But anyway, yeah, talking about the lenses, as mentioned again, this ring is to zoom in and zoom out, and that ring is to focus. Obviously, for long distance subjects that are more than 10 meters away, you just set it to infinity for infinite focus. Now, another accessory that I'm going to talk about is the Telephoto Converter. I think that's what it's called. I'll just quickly consult the manual just to be certain so I don't misinform you. Oh yes, no, it's called a Teleconverter. This, as I mentioned here, the Teleconverter is a 1.6 times attachment for the taking lens to convert it into a super telephoto zoom lens. Basically, that gives you extra zoom. Now, I'm going to try and demonstrate it. Well, it's a bit hard single-handedly. I'm going to just put the camera down for a minute. Give me a moment. I'm going to zoom in onto a subject. Okay, now I've got the camera zoomed in on the wheel of the car across the road. I'll try and get the camera up to the viewfinder. As seen, the faint centre circle, the wheel sort of just exceeds the size of it. Now, basically that's the normal zoom you get, maximum zoom you get with this camera. Now, if I add the teleconverter lens, it'll zoom in even further. So I'm just going to put the camera down now and just attach it. Well, I'll try and attach it with, well, one-handedly, but it's going to be difficult. I will probably put the camera down, but basically you slip this. I'll try and get the zoom. You slip the telephoto lens over it. I think it's meant to go right up over it, but I can't get it to go right up over it, so I'm just going to have to make do with how far I can get it up there. I wish this bloody camera will focus properly, but anyways. Now, this little hole here has got to line up with the infinity, basically. That's got to line up with infinity, so that way I can know exactly how far I'm zoomed in, because the rest of the given zoom lengths will be congruent with the zoom lengths of the normal lens. Anyway, what I have to do now is just tighten this lens a bit, which will tighten up over the normal lens, and I've got to screw tighten this so that way its reading here don't slip, along the lens, so it's congruent with the readings of the normal lens. That's why I can explain it offhand. But anyway, I'm just going to put the camera down now and tighten this lens, and just give me a moment. Okay, I've tightened the lens. I don't think it'll slip off, although I can't be certain, but I've tightened this metal piece with that tightening screw there, and I've just rotated this a little bit so it kind of locks onto the normal lens so it don't slip off during filming. But anyway, there's a camera with its tele lens. I actually got that lens many years before I even got this camera. I didn't even know it actually. I actually thought it was used for something else, but it is indeed extra zoom lens for this camera. Anyhow, I'm gonna just put the camera down, get me zoom onto that car wheel. There we go. As you can see now, the car wheel exceeds the small circle a lot more. And yeah, I've got extra zooming. So yeah, this lens gives the advantage of extra zooming, like you know, adding a pair of binoculars to the lens of a standard camera. It's kind of like that in a sense. You pretty much just got extra zooming, and which is, you know, say if you want to zoom in on far away subjects, it gives you that advantage. Although it's not that much of a greater advantage, but it is an advantage. This lens is going to slip off. I haven't found a way to fully lock this lens onto the normal lens yet, but I'll fiddle around with it and find out. But anyway, this camera is pretty much ready to roll for me to do some filming. Now, this is the expired film, Agfa Super 8. These are sold from around the mid-1970s to the early 1980s. Somewhere on here it has a embossed stamp date that says, once again struggling to focus the darn thing. Yeah, it says 3283 NOV 79. Don't know what the first four numbers are, but the November 79, that would be probably the expiry date, so November 1979. So this film is, I'd say, probably about 35 years old. And there it is, still nice and sealed in its original packaging. Now, in using this film, I don't know how well it will turn out. I don't even know if I don't know how deteriorated the film is. It could be very good for all we know. The results could come out quite nicely. But I have seen some late 70s expired film being used, and the colour is, you know, kind of quite faded. But in post-production digital editing, you can bring the colours up nice and vibrantly, so you'd still get probably a half decent colour picture out of it by doing that. But there's one other problem. In Australia there is a film developing lab called Nano Lab, which still develops 8mm film, but for the really old films they can only develop it in black and white. So I'm likely to be doing, whilst this film is colour, I'm likely to be making a black and white film from it as a result. Unless, of course, there's other film developing places that do develop this old film in colour at a not too much more expensive price. If it's too expensive, of course, I will opt for black and white anyways, because in general, as mentioned, expired film, you know, who knows how it's going to turn out. Probably going to get a very fadey colour picture anyways. But either ways, you know, I'm quite happy to make a black and white film from it anyways, as long as it turns out and I get a decent picture out of it, a decent classic filmy picture. I'm quite happy. So yeah, I'm going to be doing my very first film on this expired film. And of course I've got to pick something that's worth filming, of course. Maybe I might go up on the pylon or Sydney Harbour Bridge and, yeah, film the view of Sydney Harbour Bridge and Sydney. That's one option. Or I could go up the top of Mount Kira and film the lookout. I'll pick something that's worthwhile filming, that, you know, because it is going to cost me about $35 to develop the film at NanoLab, plus $20 to get it digitally transferred in standard definition DV formats. Either ways, if the film turns out to be all worth it, whether it be in colour or black and white. Anyway, not really that much more to talk about, except maybe, you know, yeah, this camera is quite an old camera. It's probably made somewhere anywhere between the 1967 and the early 1970s. But yeah, it's an oldie, but it's a goodie because it appears to be working quite well on both the electronic eye and its mechanical film winder. So, and plus its electronic zoom works quite nicely. So yeah, this camera is a great candidate for use for me making Super 8 films. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this long-winded video demonstration on my camera. This is Troy from Troy's Visual Arts channel, signing out.